Everyone knows or at least heard about the Grimms Fairytales by the Brothers Grimm, a German collection of folk tales gathered by Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm in the early 19th century that has now spread across the world. There are 2 volumes of the collection of over 200 fairy tales, the Kinder- und Hausmärchen, sorry if I butchered that, which means children's and household tales, abbreviated as KHM. The main stories are labeled as KHM 1 through KHM 200. There's also 10 stories that are called the Children's Legends, sometimes labeled as KHM 201 through KHM 210, and there's like a bunch more that got removed from the final edition. Some are finished stories while others are fragments or drafts of already existing stories. There's a bunch of different versions I found online of the complete fairy tales of the Brothers Grimm, and each seems to have a different number of entries. Some of these stories are very well known, like Snow White and Cinderella, and some are not. And I have decided to read every one of them that I can find, and poorly review them in a short sentence for the purpose of comedy. I almost give up halfway through. There's just so many, and a lot of them are very sexist, and sometimes the plots are all over the place, and yeah. But lo and behold, I finally done it. Okay, let's do this. Also, please don't take these poorly written jokes and banters too seriously, they're just for laughs. And here we go. Do not let random frogs into your home. Usually it's because they have bacteria, but this one's a predator. No one's gonna ask your disloyal friend to be anyone's godmother. The Virgin Mary took a child to heaven and they groomed her into being so against telling the truth that only one facing death that she will land. This guy would totally make it to the end of a horror movie by the power of sheer ignorance. The lesson here is that you should chew your food before swallowing. It's kind of concerning how ready the king and queen were to behead their own children to bring back a friend. Guy thinks he's a Disney princess. He is not. Also, he's prejudiced against Jewish people. Man commits animal abuse for no reason. Imagine your own mother showing you the coffin she and your father prepared for you and your brothers and letting you know that you'll all be executed when a new child is born. A group of random animals and things bully an innkeeper. The power of love can bring someone back from the dead. Apparently, couple trades their babe for vegetables. Where did the father go? It's like he just up and vanished after getting married. A pretty heartfelt story. The girl didn't lie, made a promise, and held up her end of the bargain, which is more than I can say for some of these characters in the book. Child abandonment didn't go as planned. If the queen knew about the leaves that can bring people back to life, why did she assume no one would try to save her husband, the king? After being falsely accused, then proven innocent, the first thing this guy does is leave. Smart move. Astronomical escapes from fire, then drowns. Being laughed so hard he got appendicitis. She will never be satisfied, satisfied, satisfied. When people misunderstood you and instead of correcting them, you play along. Final boss. The dad is alive in this version, but does nothing to protect his daughter. What an asshole. These men witnessed the horse getting poisoned and a raven feeding on its corpse, and their next move was to kill the raven and eat it. Trio of friends changes their daily routine and all perishes. Girl leaves caring parental figure to return to abusive household because she's homesick. If the ravens can already turn back into humans before the sisters showed up, then why didn't they just go home? Why do wolves never chew their food before swallowing? A donkey, a dog, a cat, and a rooster work together to commit house theft. It's like Cain and Abel, it's always the older brother kills the younger one. So the entrance to hell is just across the river that anyone can reach if they wanted to. Everyone drowns in the end, so both God and the devil just decide to mess with this one family in particular. Gretel sure dodged the bullet there. Good for her. Guy becomes Pope with the power of a Disney princess. Girl gets whole family to cry over an imaginary scenario of an imaginary child. A tailor is led into heaven out of pity, then immediately screws it up. Man believes the words of a goat over his own sons. This is like the first time any of these characters freaked out when an animal started talking. All the other times they seem to be fine with it. Guy fakes his death and gets upset when wife moves on. Little naked elf sneaks in at the dead of night to help a shoemaker. Father marries his daughter off to random man without checking their backgrounds. Some animals got together to form the Rube Goldberg machine of sudden death. Guy asks random guy to be the godfather to his child. The godfather agrees and later turned out to be a reaper living in a 5-story apartment. This is why you need to teach kids about stranger danger. They can enter a stranger's home and get turned into a wooden log. Man thought he could cheat death. He could not. How was this guy not squashed as a baby? Serial killer and his friends are burned to death. Wait, so did a dad ever connect the dots that his wife killed his son and tricked him into cannibalizing him? An old dog and a wolf are friends, had a falling out, and are friends again. I get that stepmothers are always evil, but why is the mother-in-law also evil? Guy arrives just in time for the 100-year curse to end and becomes the hero of the story. If the cook is afraid her master will punish her for losing the children, then why'd she want to kill one of them to begin with? Like, wouldn't that get her in even more trouble? So older man can judge the princess based on her looks, but when she does it back, suddenly she's the problem. You'd think by the third time this girl would have learned about stranger danger. Guy cheats his way into becoming the king. Don't lie about your daughter's magical abilities. The king might be dumb and take it seriously. A girl's stepmother wanted to kill her over an apron, then some random unnamed woman showed up from nowhere to steal her man. Guy refuses to learn from his past mistakes and needs a magic fox to save his ass each time. Dog and Sparrow are friends. Dog gets ran over by a man and dies. Sparrow kills man in vengeance. And that's true love right there. Uncles and nephews come in pairs, animals come in pairs, everything comes in pairs, even the getting their head chopped off treatment comes in pairs. Man commits fraud and gets the whole village killed. What a coincidence that the castle just happened to have 3 sleeping princesses for the 3 princes. 2 older brothers were given multiple opportunities to not screw up their claim to the throne but kept doing so out of ignorance. So, what happened to all the people stuck to the goose? Did they just wither away or something? Pretty messed up that a king can't just decide he wants to marry his own daughter and no one has the authority to stop him. A rabbit tries to force a girl to marry him. What was the point of getting 11 maidens who all have to look like the first one? Like, these people are dumb. It wouldn't have made a difference if it was 11 random women. Father takes son into woods to find someone to teach him witchcraft and how to rob people. Guy gets a prophetic dream and defeats an evil witch with a flower. The story is just discrimination against people from foreign lands. The Justice League if they were college kids who get into random shenanigans. Wolf tries to kill a man and fails. Wolf tries to force a fox into servitude and fails. Wolf tries to find a good godfather for her son and fails. Fox tries to show off his hubris and fails. The boy literally have the power of creation. He's basically a god. Also, his dad sucks. This is the kind of greed they were talking about in the Bible. What do you mean, Patrick?
Old people are the greatest. They're full of wisdom and experience.
A water nymph in a well tries to force 2 kids into child labor. For some reason, the whole animal kingdom came together to mourn a random chicken. And then they all die in the end. A jack of all trades, master of none, successfully gets himself rejected from hell and snuck into heaven. Guy topples the concept of death, hell, and heaven with his gambling addiction. Hans is very bad at trading. Guy plays matchmaker for his nephew. 2 golden brothers tried to go into the world but were mocked. One was like, fuck that shit, I'm out. And the other kept going. He rode through a forest, almost got killed by his father-in-law, and was turned into stone by a witch after threatening her dog, which is understandable. Killing someone while they're praying is also considered rude among animals. The rich man begged and made up excuses to get 3 wishes from the Lord and then wasted each one. This was like 10 fairy tales crammed into one. This girl cannot catch a break. Why is no one freaked out by the fact that a girl is talking to the head of a decapitated horse? A giant goes out offering his servitude for the exchange that he gets to beat his employer up. Imagine being trapped at the bottom of a well, sees a flute sticking on the wall, starts playing the flute, and a horde of elves show up from nowhere to help you out. This guy's an awful husband and a terrible king. Was kinda hoping he'd die by the end. The princess literally warned the man about getting poisoned by the old woman. He still got himself poisoned. For 3 days straight. As in, it happens 3 separate times. She's a queen and he doesn't deserve her. I hope they got a divorce after this. Why is this man never home when his wife is in labor? What a horrible husband. When there's 3 brothers, it's always 2 older ones who are incompetent jerks, and the youngest one is the hero of the story. Imagine just enjoying a lovely dinner with your wife and a bunch of servants confess to thievery and bribes you into not telling. Is breaking necks considered a reward in demon culture or something? Man starts working for the devil and gives up personal hygiene. The fact that the two sisters killed themselves after finding out they missed out on marrying a wealthy, handsome man tells you that the one that came up with the story is a misogynist. Bear offends birds. War ensues. A magic pot that can solve world hunger. Abusive husband threatens to beat mentally challenged wife, then went out to scam a grieving widow and her son. Short stories about snakes, or toads depending on the translation. Isn't this the plot of that anime? A girl turned into a cat, helps a man, then marries him afterwards. A shoemaker purposefully blinds his friend, the tailor, then gets scared when the tailor gets his vision back and makes many attempts on his life but fails. Also, a stork delivered a baby. A boy was born half hedgehog, half man, the top half being a hedgehog. He eventually married a princess and became human. He also has a bagpipe. The ghost of a little boy came to tell his mother to get her shit together or he cannot rest in peace. Sorta like that scene from Shrek where a princess was forced to be a cook by her father after she refused to marry the man he wanted her to. Kinda like Jack and the Beanstalk, except this guy made it to heaven. This was also a bunch of different fairy tales getting crammed into one. Like, random things just keep happening for no reason. A tailor answered a riddle correctly, got put in a bear cell, then married a princess. A guy killed a man for money and was eventually executed for it because no one in that town could keep a secret. Why would the witch leave the soldier alone with the blue light if she knew what it was capable of? God made a child die from illness because she wasn't obedient. Never let someone else look after your organs. 7 men are just trying to get home, but their naive nature and vivid imagination became their downfall. The devil messes with people for fun, but made sure justice gets served in the end. A man gets beaten up because of racism, I guess. Kinda like that part in Alice in Wonderland where except for the mushroom turning you big or small, the cabbages can turn you into a donkey or back into a human. Girl commits breaking and entering to turn a tree back into a prince. They buried 3 brothers in the same grave because they loved each other too much. The devil's grandma is not on her grandson's side for some reason. Wait, does that mean his horse is now his stepson? So this guy practically forced the princess to be betrothed to him, and when she finally agreed, he left her for another woman. Tormenting your spouse instead of just getting a divorce. The tailor is definitely the most powerful out of the 4. The man literally sold unborn baby birds back to life. A girl's mother and sisters mistreats her and tries to starve her to death. A broom makes her ask a woman's various family members for her hand, and girl fine with it. Help your friend lie their way into a better retirement plan. The king is apparently unaware of a trapdoor inside his own daughter's bedroom in his own castle. Many men are killed because of this. Guy assembles a superhero team to force a girl to marry him. Everyone is racist, including God. Why was the wild man just in the lake, pulling people in and drowning them? What was that all about? The fisherman's son was taken prisoner, then made it back home. There was also racism. They were probably high when they wrote this. Girl goes to chapel and pray that she'll get a boyfriend. Is he trying to steal his identity or something? If the people ate the girl that was turned into a lamb without knowing it was a human, does it still count as cannibalism? A greedy man gets trapped in the mountain and then killed by robbers. Mentally challenged kid got beaten up during his travels. A prince is born as a donkey and inherits 2 kingdoms in the end. A toad made itself home on the face of a man. For a student with a thirst for knowledge, this guy's gonna need more street smart. Man saw the Lord perform an age-reversing miracle and thought he could do it too. He cannot. God is a hypocrite who finds loopholes so he doesn't have to pay for his wrongdoings. A magician carried a grudge for many years so he can humiliate a girl on her wedding day. An old woman was burned because she stood too close to the fire. A king has 3 sons and gives his kingdom to whichever one is the most suicidal. 12 servants compare who's laziest. King adopts a shepherd boy because he is very wise. A girl gives everything away to people who need it more than she did until she was stark naked in the shivering cold, and only then did heaven reward her for it. A family puts their dead daughter's soul to rest. This mama's boy isn't worthy of any of these ladies. A man leaves his betrothed for another woman because she's better at making dresses. Father Sparrow gives life advice to his children. This is like a weird dream I had. Second weird dream, the sequel. So the other 2 women are just cursed to be flowers forever then? So the dwarf is scared of bears but turned the prince into a bear so he can steal his treasures. Kind of a stupid move. John's gonna get fired. This is why it's not as simple as just say no. Really hope these two won't have a kid. Hans got the princess some magic healing apples, passed the 3 trials of the king, and then married the princess. Hans left home, met 2 strangers who he renamed, and went with him to live in the woods. Like literally, he just went up to them and was like, "Here's your new names, now come with me." And they did. Peasant accuses Heaven of caring less about poor people. Heaven confirms that this is true. They need couples counseling. This is like some incel fantasy where women are regarded as less than animals. So the justice system was always corrupted when it comes to abuse against women. The birds tried to choose a king for themselves. It didn't work out. The fishes also tried to start a monarchy. It also didn't work out. This is a cow farm. You're gonna find cows outside! Just reading this, then they suddenly use a word that reminds you this story was written in the 1800s. 4 selfish men stole the moon lantern, each was buried with a piece of it when they died. They woke up the dead because of it, then St. Peter's had to take care of it. When God pities his creations, he doesn't take away the suffering, he takes away their lifespan. Why is Death just going out and about, trolling people and picking fights and then can't even win? So the man is basically a Karen who terrorizes his neighborhood and not even a sign from heaven can get him to change his ways. Almost everyone in this story is so shallow and frustrating. God favors good-looking children over ugly ones. A nice little love story where the woman saves the day. Man was greedy and got physically deformed, but at least his homie's there for him. The giant doesn't understand sarcasm and becomes scared of the low tailor. Merchant neglects his horse and the horse broke its leg. Depressing story about a boy living in an abusive household. Girl, leave that man, you can do better. Hedgehog messed with the hare's body image, cheated in the race, and got 2 bottles of alcohol from it. A kind stepmother. A rare sight in these stories. The devil got tricked twice even though he just wanted food, and he did pay for it. The effects of peer pressure. The future king is chosen through a game of Where's Waldo. Boy leaves village, grows up into a Robin Hood figure, then comes back to mess with his godfather. A drummer and a princess work together to escape a witch, but then, like so many before him, he did the thing he was told not to do and lost all his memories of her. God wants to starve mankind of pettiness. A soldier has nowhere to go, helped a peasant watch over a grave, rage baited a devil, then went home with the peasant and his children. Girl got captured, managed to escape because her captive's beard got caught in the window. The giant never got their cap back, like the 2 men who never got their saddle back. Why did these heroes never return the things they stolen? So the moral of the story is that ugly women are evil. I kinda ship the soldier and the king. Last story happens to end on a cliffhanger. A child is killed because she wasn't raised right. The 12 apostles were brothers put into hibernation and their mother probably starved to death alone. So the other kid was some kind of spirit and they took the girl with them. A prince died from malnourishment in his own home so he can get into heaven. So instead of helping the single mother with 5 kids, God made sure they are believers till they'll starve to death. God punishes a man for talking to himself. Our Lady helped a man get his wagon out of a ditch. God kills children so they don't grow up to have horrible deaths. A kid really wanted to go to heaven and he did. God killed him. Our Lady hid from a snake boat gathering strawberries. The concept of borrowing a friend's eye to attend a wedding and then not giving it back. This is why you can't trust man, not even your own brother. Guy courts a princess for his master. Children kill each other after witnessing adults slaughtering pigs and trying to imitate them. Yeah, this one's just kinda dark and sad. Oka didn't expect those biblical figures to show up there at the end. So he wasn't a hero, he was a con man. A girl no longer recognizes herself because her skirt was cut while she's asleep. Seems like an early draft for KHM 54. Something sausages. Oh, she's better than me. If my father sent me and my child out to sea and attempt to drown us, he'd be catching these hands. So the prince already married another woman after only 3 days, then compared women to objects, and the first girl still wants to marry him. Thought it was another story about a golden bird and suddenly there was pedophilia. The tailor was an incarnate of chaos and evil and the whole village was like a flock of sheep blindly following this shepherd. So every woman who was married to this man have mysteriously disappeared and no one did anything. Why would you only have one person watch the pairs and wait for the thief instead of having a bunch of guards do it? So they only love each other because of their appearance and status. She got Stockholm Syndrome. This is why you shouldn't snack during the night. It's dark and you might accidentally eat your own child. The king was so petty that he was gonna kill his daughter because he thought she didn't love him enough. Dude, just get a ladder. It was never mentioned that the two sisters are dead, it just suddenly were. Basically the story of the two brothers, but in speedrun mode. Why was the steward so determined to kill this random child? Like the story of Icarus, but instead of the sun, the guy flew into a girl's bedroom. Guy cheats the devil, then goes to hell, and annoys him until the devil went to heaven to beg them to take the guy. Guy sold his 3 daughters to wild animals for money and forgot about them, but then he had a son who went to save his sisters and everything kinda worked out in the end. Kinda. Horrible mother-in-law commits cannibalism. What if she was allergic to bees? Didn't know what a louse was and looked it up and oh my god, they fed that thing and turned its skin into a dress? What's a sun princess? Afterwards, the Jew becomes a dog, the 2 girls become chickens, but the chickens finally become people and beat the dog to death. How young is the last princess? She was young to the point she was like okay with the frog being her darling and sleeping in her bed while her 2 older sisters were disgusted. She sounds like a toddler, why is she getting married? The man is kind but not very smart. 2 men robbed their friend and blinded him and in the end got pecked to death by crows. 2 journeymen finds 2 ravens that reminds them of themselves. A princess robs 3 discharged soldiers but they got their stuff back in the end. The frog helped the princess bake a mosquito pie for the lion, and the lion turns out to be her brother and the frog is the brother's girlfriend. What do you mean these 2 didn't get married in the end? The story of Iron John if people were a bit ruder. I did not expect a mother to resort to cannibalizing her own children. A girl got crucified because she didn't want to get married. A poor man was destined to die that day. The story of testing if a girl is a princess by putting peas under her mattress, and I just got a question. The girl is from another kingdom, so what if that kingdom's beds are different and not as soft as this kingdom's? He made the same mistake as Odysseus. After escaping a giant, never turn back and flaunt your victory and give them your personal info. Wow, that was a lot. More than I thought there'd be. I wanted to quit halfway through, honestly. You wouldn't believe how frustrating some of these stories are because of how messed up everything is. But I mean, it's not that serious as a bunch of children's stories passed down verbally through generations. But essentially almost all of them are rooting in misogyny and prejudice from that time. And there are many tropes that get reused over and over and over again. Like every other male character is named Hans, while every other female character is named Gretel, and every time a girl is introduced, her beauty is the first thing that gets emphasized. There's 3 brothers or sisters where one of them is the chosen one and the other 2 are considered bad. Random little man that shows up out of nowhere to help and give advice or magical artifacts. A prince forgetting all about his beloved because of reasons, and his love has to stand outside his bedroom for 3 nights, each time reminding him of their past. And only on the 3rd night does he hear anything because his new fiancée has been giving him sleeping drafts. For no reason, she doesn't even know who the other lady is. And many times a girl or a princess is forced to marry someone they don't want to, but in the end, the guy is revealed to be handsome and everything is suddenly fine. Like, this gets old real quick. And then there's the biblical tales. Now, some of these are clearly just for fun, and a bunch of random plot devices are added to the story for amusement. Like how the devil has a grandmother who lives with him. Does the devil have a grandmother who lives with him? I don't know, I only read some parts of the Bible. But I really don't like how dark some of these religious tales are, and they were getting told to children. I mean, some of them are fine, but getting told that God might kill you as a child so you don't grow up to be a horrible person and hang to death is kind of traumatizing. But what do I know? In conclusion, the book was good. Would I recommend it to children? Not really, but I am very glad it got written because it would go on to inspire many people to take on their own interpretations of these stories, giving us many precious childhood memories. And hopefully one day I will be one of these people. Okay, that's all. Bye. And remember girls, each one of us is beautiful the way we are. Also, monarchies are bad.